Yeah, Tosaka. I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick, and the clap from my ass cheeks keeps alerting Kiara. Welcome back, folks. Fino here with a guide for the edgiest single-target boy of all time. No, it's not Edmond Dantes. I need to stop making that joke. But yeah, it's Emiya Alter. He looks fucking ridiculous, but this guy's actually pretty interesting. Emiya Alter's first skill is Bulletproofing Reinforcement. This one's a beefy defense buff that gives 3 procs over 5 turns. What's cool about this is that it has built-in insurance. You can pop it on cooldown and just forget about it. If he gets nailed 3 times in a row, it did its job. But if the hits are more evenly distributed, the 5-turn duration comes into play, and in all likelihood, you'll still get your money's worth. Skill 2 is Projection. 1 turn of rainbow buffs. Very straightforward. Skill 3 is Ridiculed Fortitude. This works like his defense buff except with attacks. Both skills are designed to protect against bad hands, the sort you get when you run double supports. You pop it on turn 1, and even if you get screwed in all 3 hands, you'll get its full value without much downtime. Of course, there's a drawback in that you can't abuse it in best-case scenarios, like back-to-back Brave Chains, which you can get with luck on a deck reset or by design with Summer BB. Emiya Alter's NP is Unlimited Lost Works. This is a single-target nuke that ignores defense and has a substantial chance to reduce an enemy's meter. It's got pretty big damage, and he gets a strengthening quest that makes it hit even harder. While this might tempt you to use him as a budget Squirturia, he's got 3 big weaknesses. Problem the first, no inherent refund. This makes it harder for him to do a same-turn recharge. Number 2, his attack stat is atrocious. Second lowest of the 4-star archers. This eats away at the generous modifier. The last issue is that ignoring defense isn't the most relevant effect. Relatively few bosses spam standard defense buffs. Some challenge quests have massive damage reduction, but these tend to be defense-ignoring defense buffs. There's a damn mouthful. The point is that you can't cheese the crab battle with Unlimited Lost Works. Emiya Alter has a fairly strange kit, and building around him is a pain in the ass. I consider him a fairly poor crit engine on account of his low attack stat and the lack of crit-related buffs. If anything, he's more of an arts brawler. His high uptime fixed hit abilities gear him towards messy fights with messy hands. Along that vein, let's start with a mash setup. Bulletproofing combined with Lord Camelot and Wall of Snowflakes give him 100% damage reduction for up to 3 turns. That's ridiculously efficient. The catch, of course, is that Emiya Alter has an entirely selfish kit. Mash and your third member need additional defense, otherwise they die and your tank engine falls apart. Waver's the most consistent option I can think of. Depending on your needs, you have a number of substitutions on the table. John might be relevant for some challenge quests that call for spamming debuff removal. Her NP also gives defense, which complements Emiya Alter quite well, especially in combination with True Name Revelation. Let's see, Anderson is quite good on account of his NP's defense and health regen, and working off the sustain angle, Irisfeel is awkward but feasible. HP and defense buffs go hand in hand, so you can actually bounce back from having Guts proc. The long duration of Emiya Alter's buffs means that you can run some pretty awkward teams and get away with it. Firstly, we have a very aggressive arts variant with Salieri and Archer of Shinjuku. The former has an on-hit defense debuff, and reduces arts resistance with his NP. The latter has an attack buff that doubles on evil allies. He can also get 50% meter for controlled burst, when you need to pop a gauge or kill a priority target. Then there's the quick variant. For this sample, I chose Danzo and Tristan, though Kotaro works in a pinch. This lineup lets you brawl for stars while leaning on Emiya Alter for something in the ballpark of sustained damage. If things go south, you have a lot of strong defensive cooldowns to stop the bleeding. Tristan's Harp of Healing gives evasion to the whole party, and his Admonishment can purge buffs, namely evasion and invuln, which Emiya Alter has no way of dealing with. Speaking of which, Danzo can donate both types. This means that, even in a really bad situation, you can save 2/3 of your frontline. If you want to try this, just be aware that the quick variant trades damage for even more survivability. Killing shit's gonna take a long time. With any single target arts attacker, Tamamo makes them into an offensive juggernaut, but Emiya Alter in particular really recommends himself to this sort of team. All 3 of his skills have 5-turn cooldowns at level 10. 2 of those last for a maximum of 5 turns. When you combine this with Tamamo's NP, you get a situation where you can actually double up on buffs. You still only get 3 hits, but with doubled effectiveness. For bulletproofing, this means you get 100% damage reduction for 3 hits. It's pretty clever, soured only by the fact that Tamamo still needs a way to survive whatever you're fighting. In practice, the bigger advantage is chainstalling your opponent while spamming offensive buffs and blowing them away with unlimited edgeworks. The nature of his attack buff is very convenient for this kind of team, since you can arch chain all day and night with minimal damage loss, even in hands where you pull 1 Emiya card. Despite its uncreativity, this is the definitive Emiya Alter team, so I hope you like foxes. I've made a lot of bad teams in my day, but this might be the worst one yet. Emiya Alter, Kiritsugu, and MHX have synergy? Maybe that's too strong a word, but hear me out. Mysterious Heroine X is an assassin geared towards saber fights. Her third skill gives her star gen and additional damage against sabers. And if you happen to be fighting a saber face, then her NP gets a bonus too. As for Kiritsugu, his NP works similarly, though not exactly like Emi-Alter's. Provided you can charge their NPs, not always the easiest thing with carry, you can stall out enemies while setting up arch chains for the two to leapfrog. You can also make use of his scapegoat skill against single target bosses. He can target MHX while she has her invuln, Emi-Alter with his defense buff, or himself if he's gonna die anyway. Now you have to keep in mind that all three of them have hybrid arts quick decks. This means your hands are gonna get messy, and chaining might require you to hold NPs in reserve. But as always, Emi-Alter is well equipped for this territory. One more thing. Understand that if you run this team, you're damning Kiritsugu to a living hell. He's gotta live in the same house with the edgiest boy alive and his annoying serial killer girlfriend. That'll teach you to be a hero. For craft essences, Black Rail takes pride of place. Not only does it make his NP even more explosive, but his defensive skill and stat distribution mean that 500 damage per turn is small potatoes. The other options have arts buffs, NP gain, or some combination of both. Kyudo and Jet, Formal Craft, Magical Girl of Sapphire, Kaleid Sapphire, and Holy Knight Learning are just a few valid options. On a miscellaneous note, Emi-Alter recommends himself to the Atlas uniform, since it gives him a hard out against NPs, and Eye of Medjed gives 2 turns of cooldown reduction, letting you strategically double up on his buffs. Shadow the Emiyan is a story-locked servant, meaning he doesn't show up on typical limited banners. If you want him, you pretty much have to hunt specifically for him. His banners are kinda rough too. The first one he shares with Saber Alter, and no rate-up 5-star. His second appearance is on a Kiara banner, but the other rate-up 4-star is Elizabeth Lancer? Ugh. Later on there's another Kiara banner, and he shares it with better 4-stars, but more of them. So pick your poison or wait for the 4-star pick ticket. I don't think it's the upcoming ticket, but the one after that. Emi-Alter is pretty weird, simultaneously robust and somewhat deficient. His stat distribution is a real tragedy since his defense buff sorta obviates the need for a large health pool. Really, that's the core of his problem. This low attack stat eats into all of his advantages. That and for a servant where you want him at NP5, getting extra copies can be a real pain in the ass. He has applications, but I can't recommend him as a value pick. Definitely not on that first banner. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, by all means leave a comment. I've got a Twitter where you can get video and stream announcements in addition to the odd highlight, so follow me on there. Link below. See you next time.